Hi everybody, I'm Dal from Challengers Comics. We wanted to do a little thing here today with graphic novels and kind of pitching them to people, giving people the in-store experience that maybe they've missed now that we're all locked down. Patrick unfortunately couldn't be with us today, but we do have Tom Servo here to help us out.
Hello.
Hey Tom, thanks so much.
Good to be here.
We're going to jump right in. One of the first books we're going to talk about is Batman White Knight. Are you kidding me?
This goes out to the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast on the Yak Channel Podcast Network with Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush. I gotta say, during this time and during the week, looking ahead to the point where we're going to be recording, I think, man, we don't have anything for this week. But the comics industry, it always gives.
Yeah, especially on Fridays now.
Oh, man.
There's so many Fridays recently that have just been like...
just dumps
I was going to say a word that would best describe this, but you're not allowing me to say that word anymore.
Oh, you're a smart guy. You could figure a different word.
A poop storm of information. Brooklyn Nine-Nine could say it. I mean, they bleeped it out, but they said it.
Yeah, but I don't want to have to bleep.
I understand.
Look, I'll tell people right now about the lack of profanity the last month or so. We had an opportunity to take this podcast to a much larger audience. The only caveat was that it has to be clean. I mean, it has to be interesting. It had to be...
Also hygienic.
Exactly. And we were in talks with the people. Basically, it was an opportunity that was presented to any podcast. And our good friend Tony Marengo was the person who tipped us off to it. So we went to the people and talked about it and had some back and forth about the podcast. And the last thing we had was... The last contact was a question of what time slot do you want? Basically, they would be putting this on the radio, on an actual radio station.
Sure.
And I had said, oh man, so like we got to a time slot phase, which made me think
this is happening.
We had a potential for it.
Yeah.
And then there was this global pandemic.
When?
You were asleep.
Oh, phew. So it's over. Goodness.
Yes.
That was a close one.
Your life is exactly normal now.
Fantastic.
Yep. Congratulations. So we never heard back, but I'm not sure if they want back catalog or if this is even going to happen. I'm just hedging our bets by making it so everything is ready if we get the chance to do this. That's why I am making it so neither of us swear on this podcast. And I know it definitely inhibits your creativity.
I chafe under it. It's true.
Yeah. I mean, there are, this is episode number 474. There's hundreds of episodes where we don't swear.
There's more than one. Hundred sounds like a lot.
There's a lot of episodes where we don't swear. Sometimes we just do it just to do it.
Sure.
Because we're rebels. And we're adults and we can use potty mouth language.
Yeah.
And so that is why...
We've been using it lately when there's been news about the comics industry coming on Fridays. Because it's always bad.
Yeah, right? Right? Can you see the board? You can see the board, right?
And honestly, one of the weird things about the whole news dropping on Friday thing, just to talk about that for a second, is that that's usually a thing that you do because the work week for people is Monday through Friday, so dropping bad news at the end of the day Friday means that most sites that would cover it can't cover it, and it'll get kind of swept away by the weekend so that on Monday when people want to call attention to it, it's already old news, so you sneak that stuff out. Doing it now during a global pandemic when most people do not have a regular working schedule seems foolhardy to me. To just be like, oh, no one's going to notice this. Like, no, every day is exactly the same for people. So it's not as though, well, that was a work day and now it's not a work day. They're all the same. They're all work days and not work days. It doesn't, you're not hiding anything. Crazy to me. Anyway.
So seeing the topics on the board, do you get to pick the order?
Oh, I mean, I guess since we're talking about weird bad news and stuff, let's talk about Diamond Comics and DC Comics.
Okay, that's what everybody's waiting for us to talk about.
Let's just get to it.
I've gotten messages, people saying,
let's just jump into it.
Have you recorded yet?
I don't want to make this podcast more frustrating for people.
Knowing if we did record Thursday, we would have missed it.
I want it to be a regular amount of frustrating for people.
Sure.
I don't want to just make them more tense. People have enough in their lives, you know? So yeah.
But Dow, we need to make sure that people listen all the way to the end. That's why you put the Marvel stuff in the back.
Because that's where our various advertisements are.
Exactly.
That we can get affiliate links from. So,
have you eaten at Jimmy John's today?
Only when I'm getting stuff from Stamps.com. What's the mattress one? So the
can you hand me that packet of Blue Chew over there? It's on your side of the studio.
So, as we've talked about a bunch of times the last few episodes, the comics industry as a whole is kind of on hiatus. Diamond Comic Distribution has shut down shipping out new product to stores.
The comic printers themselves have shut down?
Yeah. Most publishers have ceased producing new material before they know how to move through the material they've already commissioned and is already ready to go. So basically, everything's just been on hold. And I think it was Thursday morning, Diamond had put out an email saying, hey, here's where we're at. We are working to build a roadmap for how we get everything started up again. And they're targeting right now mid to late May. Nothing more specific than that, but the idea is by that point, a lot of the shelter-in-place policies will be over in a lot of states. The hope is that stores will be able to reopen to customers. Something will be available to consumers so that people can go to their shops and get their comics again if they were not able to do so over the last 6 weeks or so. I guess almost...
6 is right.
6. I mean, it'll be 2 months by the time that target date hits for Diamond.
Yeah.
So that was what they were saying, was look, there's light at the end of the tunnel. We are working on this. It takes a while to get it back up and running, but this is when we think new product is going to start hitting stores, mid to late May. And DC released their statement a few hours later saying, that's hilarious. New DC product will be available starting at the end of April. Not through Diamond.
Not through Diamond.
Through two new distributors called UCS, I think is one.
Yes, and Lunar is the other.
Was the other. And where you're at in the United States depends on which distributor you have to go through.
Yeah, you don't get your choice. You are assigned one of the two.
Based on your state, that's who you go through.
Now, we had known that DC and Marvel were looking into alternate distribution routes for the last couple of weeks. But what we didn't realize was that DC was going to be creating 2 brand new distributors because both of these companies are brand new and their website domains were just registered in the last week.
Yeah, there is no other distribution for comics anymore, basically because there aren't enough non-exclusive publishers
to make it worth anybody's financial risk.
Yeah, if you're only distributing comics. There have been, we used to go through people, 10 years ago that would do the non-exclusive publisher stuff.
Like Haven.
But the financials just don't work, and they all went away. There's really no one doing that. There's no one doing small press distro really like that. Even the companies that were doing a version of that now just go through book trade because they're not even making single issue comics to have to distribute. So yeah, these are 2 companies that were created specifically to distribute DC Comics during a pandemic.
So what DC is asking you to do is to set up a new account immediately
with a brand new company that you've never done with before.
By Monday, by the day that this podcast is up.
Because DC's target date for their first wave of books, April 28th. So it was basically this needs to be something that you have starting April 20th.
Also, that is a Tuesday.
Yeah.
They are changing their release date to Tuesdays so they can sync it up through all channels, i.e. the book trade.
I guess. I mean, but most of the stuff that they were talking about is just single issue comics.
Right.
It's not even graphic novels that I saw. Although they did mention, hey, by the way, we've been releasing graphic novels. Here's the stuff that's come out over the last 3 weeks. Go to a different distributor.
Yeah, in fact, during this week's AEW Dynamite on TNT Wednesday nights from 7 to 9,
there's an ad for Batman.
There was an animated commercial,
a motion comic ad.
Yeah,
do you remember those? Do you remember motion comics?
I do. For as Dal said, DC's Batman Last Night on Earth hardcover.
Yeah, I mean, it looked pretty
which
cool.
is available in bookstores.
Yeah, we could get
just not comic stores.
We could get it through someone else, but we'd just be getting it at a worse discount, and that's why we're not doing it. Like, that's not to jump ahead or to digress, but Patrick and I did have a conversation about should we be getting some of the graphic novels that have come out through alternate distribution channels, and the problem is basically we'd be losing money doing it because the discount that we get for like Marvel and DC graphic novels is so much higher than any other distributor we could get them from.
From Diamond, you mean?
From Diamond, yeah. The discount we get from Diamond for Marvel and DC graphic novels is so much higher than any other distributor we could get them from that we'd be doing it, but we'd be losing money to do it. And it's not worth it. We'd rather wait, especially considering most of the stuff we'd be ordering is stuff that doesn't necessarily have an audience looking for it right now. Like, we've had one person maybe say, like, I want this book, and it's like, that's just not available right now. It's in the distribution channel somewhere, but it's going to be coming out maybe in like a month or so. So, like, getting collected editions of material that's already been released in single issues, that's not the stuff that's going to blow off the shelves. But anyway, so DC announced this. I can't speak to a lot of what retailers were saying because Patrick will talk about that in a second. But one of the interesting things that I was reading about was that almost immediately people like The Beat who were reporting on it were saying, who are these companies that are distributing them? Like, no one's ever heard of Lunar before. Who are they? And,
right.
And as cited, they only existed like over the last week. So people did some digging and very quickly found out
that they are Midtown Comics in New York City, the one of the largest, well, probably Diamond's largest account.
Sure. If not them, then DCBS, who's the other distributor.
Discount Comic Book Service and In-Stock
Indiana.
Trades.
Yes. Which, I mean...
They're Lunar.
Yeah, but between Midtown and DCBS, it's probably two of the top three accounts, if not the top two accounts that Diamond distributes to. And on top of that, like, somebody else speculated that based on what they've heard or what they've seen, that DCBS and Midtown could potentially account for 10% of Diamond's volume just in and of themselves.
Wow.
That's how big they are. So they're retailers, and they're also going to be distributors now for DC, which, Patrick, I'm going to go ahead and assume was not well received by the retail community.
That is a very accurate assumption.
No.
I can't say it was unanimous. I've seen some people that are in favor of this.
Yeah, I think Jetpack, was for it.
I've also seen
I saw a Jetpack tweet
people that
were like, yay.
Hate it, but are begrudgingly going to do it.
Yeah.
Now, one of the key factors in this is that DC has canceled all of your orders with Diamond.
So they said that.
Right, but also, you can't, like, the books that were supposed to come out on April 1st, Diamond already has.
Yeah. The one of the things that DC had said was that they are canceling all the orders, which definitely made it sound like there's pressure on retailers to make sure they're sourcing them through alternate channels because what you thought you had locked in at Diamond, you don't. But I don't know about that because I don't know how DC does that as a mechanism. Do you know what I mean? Like, DC can cancel orders that Diamond has, but I don't know how they cancel Diamond's orders. Do you know what I mean?
Right. I can also tell you that Diamond released a statement saying, we will have all your books, don't worry.
Yeah, like, that was the thing, was that with more clarification, it sounded like DC's offering stores the opportunity to get their books right now if they want to, but all of this stuff is going to come out through Diamond at some point, which, like, for us makes the scramble to do this seem kind of insignificant. Like, it's not worth doing.
No, especially if it's 3 weeks later that Diamond is opening.
Yeah, mostly because the way that DC's putting out products. So the other stuff was that DC had said, your Diamond discount is your new Lunar whatever discount. I can't remember the name of it, so I'm just going to say Lunar from now on. Your Lunar discount is what your old Diamond discount was for DC product. Also, these are going to be returnable. Like, all product through June 24th is going to be returnable. That's something that DC had said before, and it's something they're sticking to. So, you know, you can adjust your orders and order less of this stuff to cover whatever you need, and then if you get extras or you can't sell stuff, you can return it to this, Lunar or the other one at some point. What they're listing, though, is not a normal week's worth of shipments. They're slowing their rollout.
Yeah, it's a slow rollout.
The first week, it's the new comics basically are like Daphne Byrne and the Dreaming. And then it's like reprints and the giant stuff that goes to Walmart.
Yeah, there's a Batman reprint, a Nightwing reprint, and Batman Giant.
So it's like 5 comics.
And again, not again, we didn't, but those aren't a draw.
Right. I mean, across 2 stores, we would maybe need collectively 10 comic books.
Yeah.
It's not worth doing an order for or paying shipping or anything like that, because who cares? The audience for The Dreaming and Daphne Byrne is not when does the new issue come out? They're not going to source it somewhere else if we don't have it. And it's kind of the same way for the next few weeks. There's a lot of stuff where it's a Justice League comic, and then I can't remember what else, but it's stuff, it's very minor stuff for DC's publishing. It is not Batman and, what else is big for them?
I mean,
it's not the Joker 80th anniversary special.
Right.
It's not, their most top tier books.
Dark Knight's Death Metal.
Yeah, it's none of that stuff. James Tynion has even said they pushed back Batman 92. That thing's not coming out until late May or something.
And oh, okay.
Yeah,
that wasn't the one. So that's not already a Diamond. That's not an April 1st book.
I don't know about that.
I can't remember.
But anyway, so
what about Empire? When does Empire come out, Dal?
When does Empire come out? So all the DC stuff that's coming out is stuff that we don't necessarily see a huge market for, that would pressure us to get it from another source. We can do without it, I think, for a month. More than that, though, it just seems really short-sighted. Short-sighted is a good word for it. It's a good phrase to describe what DC's doing. This is something where, in trying to solve a problem, they actually somehow made it worse, which is, doing nothing would have been better, and that's what's so frustrating about this.
You say solving a problem. I think it's just their problem.
Well,
I don't think that this is DC's decision. I think this is...
Definitely feels like AT&T's
AT&T is saying, you have to make money.
Yeah, why are you not putting out product?
And I'm sure that the DC staffers are just in hell right now.
I hope so. I don't want to think that anyone at DC was as misguided as this plan seems to be. I want to hope that people knew they were doing something that was unhelpful at best and destructive at worst, and said, we don't have a choice. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't want to ascribe positive or negative motivations to anyone involved in this, because I genuinely don't know. All I can deal with is the facts on the ground. And I get that there are some stores that are I need some product to sell. That's something we've heard from other retailers. And the fact that this was not a unanimous, please don't do this, means that despite the number of retailers that are saying, please don't do this, there are retailers saying, I got customers, I got nothing to sell them. These are stores that do not have
shelter-in-place orders or are violating them.
Yeah, not even that. I was going to say that they don't have... Challenger's is a store that has a gigantic backstock of graphic novels. We have things to sell to people.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily position ourselves as a new comics-only retailer. But the stores that do that, they don't have a choice. They don't have new comics to sell. That means they don't have comics to sell. So they are probably telling DC and Diamond and Marvel as often as they can, please start publishing again. Because like Patrick said, they might not have shelter-in-place policies. So they might have customers coming to the store saying, I want books, and they're sick of saying, I don't have anything to sell you. And they are not in a good financial position. They're not able to just say, well, I'll wait another month. So there are stores saying that. I don't want to argue the validity of that argument beyond the fact that they are saying it. I wish they didn't have to say that, and I wish that wasn't something that was a part of the conversation, but it is.
I can say that from all the feedback that I've heard, it is one of the rare times the comics industry isn't like 50-50. It's a solid 80-20.
Yeah.
And the verbiage people are using are things like, you thought Comic Hub's idea was bad.
Oh, that's mean.
And Phil Boyle had posted a meme, and Molly Jane had sent it to me as well. The gist of it is, and just like that, Diamond is no longer the enemy.
Yeah, I think the bigger problem is just that DC does seem like they're forcing the timeline.
I mean, I hate to use the word enemy for anybody in this industry who's trying to get product out to make money. Like, DC is not the enemy. Diamond is not the enemy.
No.
But this is just a bad situation made worse.
Yeah.
Going back to the distributors and mentioning that they are the largest mail order stores in the country.
Yeah, like the idea is bad, but the logistics of it are maybe worse.
Also, DCBS does like up to 40% off of books, and I'm not worried about Midtown being like, oh, we should open in Chicago. We heard rumors of that 12 years ago, but that never panned out. Yeah. But I don't like the idea of giving those competitors our numbers and our discount information and things like that.
Nope.
That doesn't make me happy.
The DCBS thing, like, I know that people look at Midtown as a huge threat or whatever. DCBS is the one that I always find to be far more detrimental to the industry. Like, not only because they advertise in comics, same way Midtown does, but the discounts they offer are they're wholesale discounts, basically.
Yeah.
And
they seem to, their in-stock trades, which is part of them, seems to sponsor so many comic podcasts.
Sure, why wouldn't they? I mean, that's how people find out about online stores. But the DCBS thing bothers me because they're specifically targeting like your subscribers. Like, that's the audience for them. Like, the things that most stores need, and trust me, as someone who owns 2 stores definitely need subscribers. And that's the difference between one store and the other. Without a subscriber base, it's very difficult for a store to kind of have that floor to be able to keep running week to week with the various fluctuations that happen in their market. Then DCBS is where the big subscribers frequently end up going, because if you know what you want every month, if you don't browse the shelves, if you just want your giant stack of books, it's very easy to go through DCBS. Because you just give them their order every month, and then they ship it out, and you save a ton of money. Like, I don't mean this to be an ad for DCBS. I really don't want it to be. But I'm just saying that like, how it works is very appealing to a lot of longtime comics fans. And that makes DCBS far more detrimental to my bottom line than someone like Midtown does.
Midtown does handle all of Marvel's, I said Marvel.
Marvel's.
All of Marvel's subscriptions, and I'm not sure, but maybe DC's as well.
I don't know.
So they do a lot of that type of mail order, but that's on behalf of the publisher who went to them and said, can you do this for us?
Well, it looks like the publisher did that this time too.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, yeah, like, I don't think this is necessary, just on a basic, should DC be releasing product before the market is ready kind of way, just because it's not safe. And the thing that you're hearing a lot from a lot of businesses that have been shut down that are going to be restarting is doing it in the safest way possible. This does not strike me as that. This strikes me as stores feeling desperate because DC told them that their orders were canceled and they needed to get them from somebody else. Stores then ordering product that they can't necessarily sell because they'll need it at some point, because like we talked about way back when Diamond was shutting down, you can't not have that issue of Justice League. If you have subscribers for Justice League, you can't just not have it. And then stores, and then customers finding the product is out and feeling like they need to get it, and maybe going to stores in a dangerous way because people make bad decisions oftentimes when it comes to the things that they care about. And people care about comics a lot, and that could make them do things that they probably shouldn't do, that they should stay home. So all of this feels like a really bad idea. And then the logistics of how it's happening feel kind of insulting, where DC is asking 2 of the largest retail accounts to start distributing 2 smaller accounts. And the data that you have to share and the money that you have to give them is not something that most stores feel comfortable with, and I don't blame them.
There's just a level of transparency that they tried to cloudy up.
Yeah.
Like,
they outright, these were not under the names of the normal businesses that are going to be doing the work because they knew that retailers would freak out. And they'd be right to.
Look, maybe they needed to start a separate company to be able to be a distributor. Maybe that's part of it. But then you should at least say DCBS owned Lunar.
Sure.
Also, blah, blah, blah.
Also, if you were just doing it because you had to for like managerial or financial reasons, you would not completely change the name from DCBS to Lunar.
Yeah, probably.
That is you trying to hide something.
Yeah.
And again, you're hiding something because it's a really bad idea that people are going to be really upset about. Above and beyond everything else, like, this is... Financially, it doesn't make any sense for me. Like, even if I'm getting the exact same discount, what's the turnaround time? What's the shipping cost? Like, am I going to get everything on that Tuesday? Is there going to be any... Like, you don't know what UPS is doing.
What are the shipping costs is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Even though DC said all the stuff is returnable, there's language in the contracts from or the applications, from what I've been told, and I've not investigated this myself, that says you cannot change your orders and there are no returns.
Yeah. My shipping cost per unit of comic book is pretty low from Diamond because I order a lot of comic books from Diamond. If I'm getting 10 comic books from Lunar, my shipping cost per unit is significantly higher. Enough to make it make no financial sense to carry these books in that way. Yeah, the whole thing just...
It's deliberately misleading the way it's told. It sounds like they're trying to bully us into doing this. And I'll be honest, if we knew that there was a shelter in place in Illinois through June, we'd probably be doing this. We'd probably say, fine, we have to get these books.
Yeah.
I don't know that we would wait 2.5 months.
Probably not, but it would depend on the books, and it would depend on, like, I honestly, maybe even not then. Like, unless it's...
You know what's weird about this whole conversation?
What's that, Patrick?
When this first came up, and I was vehemently against it, it felt like you were willing to consider it.
I always want to consider it. I mean, I eventually decided, no, this is a bad idea, but I didn't have this knee-jerk thing of, like, how dare you? Like, I really wanted to think, like...
J'accuse!
I think that's a tendency a lot of retailers have. And I mean, in this case, I agree with them. But the tendency a lot of retailers have is that when news comes out, they immediately make a gut decision and then follow that gut, like, to the ends of the earth. There is not a sense of, like, let's really consider this. And I think it's a really detrimental thing in general, but specifically to the comics industry, how quickly, like, people will fight about something. I don't see that being a useful way to go.
I had a former retailer who is not in retail currently say, yeah, let the distributor wars begin. Hard pass.
Yeah, no thanks. I worked briefly in comics when that was happening, and I did not find that very fun. And that's kind of what a lot of this is about for some retailers.
We've lived through this.
Are the ones who lived through this and understood that, like, single issue comics through multiple distributors does not make any sense. Graphic novels, sure, you can make that make sense. And in some ways it makes more sense to get your graphic novels directly through specific distributors because you're dealing with, like, deferred shipping costs and higher discounts and returnability, and all that stuff makes more sense. Non-returnable, and these are returnable, I guess, but that doesn't seem like a long-term strategy. But just single issue comics, getting a stack of DCs from one company, a stack of Marvels from another company, a stack of Image from another company. This is a bad model. It's just a terrible, terrible model. So reintroducing that for something where it doesn't feel like that is a long-term problem, it's a short-term problem. Like, the fact that DC announced it, and I know they were working on it for a week, but the fact that they announced it hours after Diamond is like, give us a month and we'll be back to normal. For them to do this is like, it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
In a month, this will be not an issue.
I certainly don't think that these two new distributors are a long-term solution. Like, I don't think people are just going to, like, oh, Diamond's open again? I'll keep getting my books from Lunar. That's fine.
Yeah, especially if it's just DC. Like, DC is, like, what, maybe a quarter of the market?
Yeah, right?
Like, a quarter to 30% of the market? Like, is it worth doing a completely separate order through a completely separate company and dealing with completely separate freight costs for 25% to a third of your order? Like, that seems wasteful on a lot of levels. So yeah, the DC thing was yet another weird misstep for DC in a time where they seem to make nothing but weird missteps. This is only like 2 weeks after, hey, we're going to go ahead and do digital comics anyway, before the entire retail community did a simultaneous full-throated roar at them, and DC went, changed our minds.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if we'll be talking about next week's podcast. Marvel also using Lunar and this other one.
No, it would be like Coliseum's new company and graham crackers, probably, like doing distribution for Marvel.
That's how I equated this. This would be like us buying all of our new comics from graham crackers.
I would feel conflicted about that. Yes. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so that was the DC thing for the week, and I don't want to say it like that, like DC for the week, but it feels like every week we'll be talking about some new thing that DC is doing that it's like, why did you do that? Why did you think that was a good idea? You guys.
I just don't understand why so many people think that the coronavirus has come from DC's upcoming 5G plans.
Ridiculous. Oh, people.
Yeah, it's a weird time. When we open, we talked a little bit last week about how uneasy we'll be once we're able to open again and having people in the stores. And here's the thing that some states have said they expect to be a requirement, like having to take people's temperatures before they can come in. Like grocery stores are doing that in places, and the optometrist I went to last weekend did that.
I don't even know. I mean, I'm very interested to see what guidelines we're going to get from the city of Chicago about what is going to happen.
Yeah.
I feel like some of it will be on like capacity of places.
Yeah.
Like a grocery store that has a lot of people in it and is a non-optional part of most people's existences. You have to have that procedure in place. You have to have things where it's like, we have to protect the employees that work here and we have to protect the people who are shopping here. So they'll figure out best practices. For a smaller business like ours that people aren't staying at for a long time and is maybe, 5 to 10 people in the store.
Yeah, like you'd mentioned putting tape on the floor. I don't know if we'll have to, if we can just say, spread it out.
Yeah, I think we might have to have something on the floor where it's just like, here's where you stand when you're, whatever.
If we do, and this is a thing I've done in the past, and I don't know that I recommend it, but, we'd have to put, like, tape on the carpet.
Yeah.
But we could make one long vertical line of tape all the way down the store and then have lines coming off it, like, stand here, stand here, stand here.
No.
To cover up that horrible seam.
There you go.
That's the only reason I suggest it.
There you go.
Just like, instead of that horrible seam, where Godzilla had to be filmed on that video, it's just red duct tape now.
Quite an idea.
Yep.
I wonder if maybe we'll do something where like we'll take flattened out diamond boxes or something and like tape those down and go stand in this.
No, those will be kicked out right away.
But you mean tape them down,
They'll be, and anything that's raised,
it's thick.
That's a lip, people will kick off. It'll happen. So you're saying I should not start buying those digital thermometers yet? The touchless thermometers?
I'd like to have a few, so if you want to buy me a few, I'll just hang on.
A few? They're like...
A few.
They're expensive.
Yeah, that's why I only said a few, not a bunch.
Okay.
Thanks.
Like, for you just to have at home?
Just to carry around to take people's temperatures.
Okay, fair.
Like, I don't want to be in a conversation with someone and think, like, do they have a fever? Like, I want to just be able to just really quickly, like, and then we can keep talking while the thermometer's going.
When we reopen, and for a while after that, we will be wearing masks in the store.
Mm-hmm. And to get to the store.
All around. And I was talking with comic artist and all-around nice guy, Tony Akins.
Takins.
You've never done that before.
No?
Last week, and Tony now lives in Seattle, but he was a Chicago guy for a long time. A good friend, a really nice guy, a talented artist. He's got a brand new book from Vault called 800 Wolves. It is obviously postponed, like everything.
It is coming out at some point.
But it looks really great. He sent me a bunch of work he's been doing on it. And he's got like 10 panel pages, like just crazy action scenes.
Nice.
It's basically like pirates on horses.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it looks amazing. But he had said, hey, if you want to do, because we were talking about the virus, obviously, if you want to do custom Challengers face masks, I can do the art for it. Because this started because he reached out saying, what can I do to help you guys? What'll work? Mm-hmm. And that was one of his suggestions, and that made us think, hey, custom face masks.
Custom masks.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So we started looking around, and you found a place that
just out of nowhere, I was on, I think, AV Club or one of the Gizmodo sites. There was an ad that was a place that was doing, like the kind of the segmented masks, the
ones that expand.
Ones, but you could get something printed on them. But it was kind of expensive, and I don't really like that material for reusability.
Yeah.
And then we got an email from our T-shirt company, the ones that we used for our I Love You But I've Chosen Comics
after
t-shirts.
We sent the, hey, Tony, here's a place that'll do masks. Did you want to do it? Then we got an email.
Yeah.
Hey, we're doing a limited run of masks.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot, so jump on it.
Yeah.
So we did.
And we came up with the design that we liked, eventually.
And we'll have a very limited run of these masks, and every employee is going to have them or be wearing something. Anybody who works for the stores will have to have a mask.
Yeah.
And we will sell the extras, but I would like to take the proceeds and, let's say, give $4 per mask for the Here Initiative.
Yeah, or maybe the Here Initiative, but maybe a different. I mean, we need to talk about charity. Maybe it's one that is more directly combating the coronavirus.
Yeah, I just I looked at a lot of charities that are doing that directly, and then it was our friend Leah Guerrero who had suggested, what about artists that are now out of work, or
is the Here Initiative, are they doing stuff for?
I assume that's what their general.
I mean, that's what their mandate is for sure, but I didn't know if they were doing something more
specifically for the coronavirus.
Immediate, I don't know. We'll a charity for sure.
Yeah, so I'm thinking if we sell the masks for $11.99, and we'll donate $4 per mask to the charity.
Okay,
because that's
whatever profit we would make.
Yeah.
Sure.
If that works out, that's our plan. They are black masks with little white C's on them, and they hook over your ears. It's one solid piece of fabric. It's not it doesn't have the elastic bands or whatever. And if people are interested, we will have a limited amount available for people to buy. And again, proceeds will go to charity.
Neat.
And there have been a lot of creators that have reached out to us asking what they can do to help. And honestly, we never have answers because we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we're really just... I wish we were more forward-thinking and had bigger ideas, but a lot of it for us is just the day-to-day of, I would like to make enough money that I can eat today.
Yeah.
So that's where all of my concern and energy goes into.
And it's one thing to say, hey, can you just promote the store? But somebody specifically said, how can I, as an artist, help you? So we have an idea that may or may not come to fruition out of that.
Yeah, who knows?
But if you look at comic creators across the world, one in particular has been doing things his own way to help out stores, some very specific stores, and that's Donnie Cates. Donnie Cates has gone to a couple of stores in Texas, Austin Books, and then Dragon's Lair, I think, and paid for every subscriber's books that are on hold.
That's pretty nice of him.
Yeah. He said, first he did it anonymously, but then it got out. And he said, he's not doing this selflessly. He's doing this selfishly because he wants these stores to still exist to sell his comics when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
And all he asked in return is that people take the money that they would have spent on those books and donate it to a specific charity, and I forget what that is. And I mean, that's amazing.
That's pretty great.
I can't imagine how much that set him back. I also can't imagine if someone were to come to us and say, hey, I want to do that. It would take us hours to figure out what that is.
I mean, I would put in the time.
Oh, of course.
If someone's I want to do this, it's give me a day, I'll give you a number.
Yeah, for sure. What an amazing gesture. And, that's great. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of creators who are doing sketches with the creators for comics, I think, is the hashtag.
Yeah, we're auctioning off different things. Like Bendis has a thing where you can get killed in one of his books.
Oh, nice. Chip Zdarsky will write an erotic story featuring you and then read it to you over a Zoom call.
Ooh.
Yeah. Bendis and Kelly Sue are auctioning off like a Zoom dinner together with you. Steve Lieber put up the splash page to his Hawkeye issue.
Oof, okay.
Yeah, and I bid when it was like $300. I bid $300.
Sure.
And I was bidding against David Harper, who then just tweeted and said, "You're fired."
Bigfoot knew.
Yeah. Last look, it was at $900.
Oof. Too rich for my blood.
Yeah. Which, it feels weird, like, had I won, it's weird to be like, I'm giving this money to the big foundation that'll help comic stores.
That I will ask them for money very soon.
Yeah. Right? I mean, we've already asked them.
Yeah.
We did receive our share of the SBA Disaster Relief Fund.
The EIDL, the smaller of the two SBA funds.
Which is what we had talked about last week, that it's based off of number of employees, and our employees are sitting in this studio recording right now. So we got $2,000, which is honestly more than we expected to get from any of this.
Yeah.
And we did get $250 from Bad Idea.
That was cool.
That was super amazing of them to do.
I was thinking about Bad Idea today because it's so the Quibi, the new video platform.
Oh, I don't know what this is.
Quibi. You never saw any of the commercials during the Super Bowl or whatever? Quick Bites. They're like little 5 to 10 minute video things.
Okay.
This is not an endorsement, by the way. Let me just get that out of the way. Basically,
unless Quibi is willing to either pay for this or buy all of our subscribers' books.
An incredibly well-funded
platform
video startup had this thing where it's like, oh, they're going to do these little things that people watch only on their phones, and it's stuff you can watch when you're commuting. And they released it like in the middle of a global pandemic where most people who would be their audience are on shelter-in-place policies and not looking on their phones to watch video content because they're sitting in front of their computers and TVs all day now. So it's one of those things where it was a good... I mean, the shows look terrible and it was going to fail regardless. But the business model makes a kind of sense if you're like, everyone's constantly on their phones out about in the world. This is a way that we can reach that audience. What you didn't count on was a global pandemic completely upending every element of day-to-day life for every single American. And Bad Idea, I was thinking today, I'm like, oh God, it's the same thing. The whole point of Bad Idea is no digital releases. They're not really doing mail order, like stores can. But the whole point is stores have the books. You go to the store, you buy the books. And it's like, oh, how long is it going to take for that to be a thing that people want to do again? Because we've talked about it. Like, even when our doors reopen, how quickly are people going to be like, I got to go to the comic shop and get some new comics?
I don't know, man. Didn't people try to get in during the day?
They do.
Yeah. While you're there packing up mail order?
We've gotten a dumb amount of phone calls with people like, what time do you open till? Like, we're not open. I'm sorry I answered the phone. I thought this was maybe somebody that had an emergency.
Like the phone call that interrupted the video we were trying to film, which is the start of this episode.
Similarly, yes.
Yep.
So yeah, the Bad Idea thing is
you were so mad.
I was, because the phone did not ring for the rest of the time we were at the store.
Just that.
Literally just when we're filming. Like, God bless it. So the Bad Idea thing is I feel kind of bad about it because it's a really good plan as long as human existence does not change fundamentally, which you could never plan on.
Sure. I'm actually not surprised. I'm glad they didn't just keep going with it because it's like, hey, we don't need Diamond. We're our own distributor.
Yeah, but if your customers are not going to be there, this whole thing falls apart.
I don't know, man. The book was supposed to come out May 6th. Right now, our shelter in place ends April 30th.
It's definitely...
We could be at the stores on May 6th.
Definitely going to be extended, though.
I don't know.
Who knows?
I have somebody who claims to be in charge of this country is really riling up states, trying to get people not to take that.
It's a good thing for the President of the United States to do is to tell everybody to...
Is that who he is?
Stop honoring shelter-in-place policies and just get back in the world and start spending money. Who cares if people die? Anyway.
So here's a way people can spend money.
Anyway.
This is a thing that Dal has been working on by himself.
I hope it works.
Tirelessly.
I hope it works.
For day now.
So this is another thing that may or may not, it may be an episode next week where we're like, yeah, we didn't do that.
Yeah, right? Similar to switching over to Comic Hub to be able to get our entire inventory online for people to browse online.
We've had a policy that's been in place for the last few weeks where people browse PDFs and they tell us what they want. It's been working okay. There's not really been a lot that people have asked for that we did end up having or there was a problem with. And it takes time. Like every step in the process is something we have to interact with. So the idea of something where we just have to deal with kind of the packing and shipping part of it or the prepping the order part of it.
Don't downplay how much work that is.
That's a lot, but that's also half as much work as what we're doing right now. So we looked into Shopify as a solution. Other stores are using it.
What is Shopify, Dal?
Shopify, it's a platform for stores to have their inventory online for people to shop. Basically just a kind of website builder that is about managing inventory and selling products. The Comics Experience in San Francisco was one of the first stores I saw using it. I know people use Shopify, but I saw them specifically putting together a store with the shelter-in-place policies that are being enacted in their part of the world. I looked into using Shopify. I didn't like what I saw at first, mostly because getting our inventory online was kind of the big problem. There were ways that we could try and loop it in with RMS, which is the database that we use for our in-store inventory. But it had problems where it kind of didn't understand that there were things. If we have 20 copies of a book, but 10 of them are on hold, we technically only have 10 to sell. But as far as RMSify, which was the name of the integration program, was concerned, we had 20 copies. So it would try and sell all 20, despite the fact that 10 of those are technically pre-sold. They just haven't been bought yet.
Yeah.
So that made me go, I don't want to do this. So we did the PDF thing instead. But then, Patrick, you told me that Diamond was kind of beta testing and about to roll out a way that we could upload our inventory codes to Diamond, and then Diamond would format all the information we would need for Shopify, including descriptions, price points, and also links to images that we could get from Diamond. So all of the inventory that we'd have would suddenly have corresponding pages and content. So it wouldn't just be like, we got books, here's what they're called. It's, here is what the cover to Chew Volume 1 looks like. Here is how much it costs. Here's what it's about. Here's what issues it contains.
This actually came from a post from Chris Powell from Diamond yesterday. And he basically, he basically said, there's an article that's going to go up on Monday all about this, but if you want to play around with it this weekend, here it is. And Dal said, yes, I do. Yes, I do want to play around with this.
And I will. And so, yeah, you'd sent it to me Friday night, and I started playing around with it. And then today's Saturday, and we're about a quarter of the way through getting our graphic novels up on Shopify.
So the store exists. Yeah, you built the account and everything.
And I did all the backgroundy sort of stuff of like, here's where, photos of the store and plugging in the words and whatnot and arranging things kind of how I want it to look. So now it's just getting all the data. It's a multi-step process of I've got to pull a spreadsheet worth of data out of our inventory system. Then I've kind of got to vet that to make sure the numbers look right and it's saying what I want it to say. Then I upload that to Diamond. Diamond then spits out something for Shopify. Then I've got to go through the Shopify one to add in tags for different things and also vet that because sometimes you get one or two lines where the data just is in the wrong field and you've got to go through and tweak that. And then it's uploading it to Shopify. And that takes time because they have to kind of build all of that into your own database. So it takes a while. Hopefully by Monday or Tuesday, we'll definitely do a post on our social media when it's ready to go and for people to look at it. Hopefully it'll work okay. Like anything we do during this time, please be patient with us. There will be quirks and flaws and problems that we won't foresee. We'll try and get them fixed as fast as we can. But if something is a little janky or takes us a little longer to do, know that we're trying our best and that there's just two of us. And,
basically one of us.
Basically one of us. And that means that, we are hands-on trying to get this to work for you. So please be patient with us as we figure out how to do these things that we've never really done for the last 12 years.
Kudos to Diamond for getting this up and running and making it easier, especially since this was a direction that we'd attempted and said, oh, this will never work.
Yeah.
And now they're doing it, and
it made it a lot easier. Not easy, but easier.
It's my understanding this was a program that they were working on in the background, but it wasn't a priority. And then as soon as this hit, they're like, nope, this is priority. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah.
And it's honestly, it's a...
So far it's worked pretty well.
It's a big deal. It's a huge amount of work to keep it active. Should we choose to after the pandemic?
Which I think, after, I don't know what after the pandemic even looks like as a timeline. Like, if you mean, like, the point at which we won't need to use this anymore, summer 2021.
Yeah. Okay.
Realistically. We're just going to have graphic novels to start with, much like the PDFs. I do want to get the comics up, but doing the comics is way more work than doing the graphic novels because of how our club system works and the amount of material that we're uploading. Yeah, it's tricky.
The issues are with the sales. It's not as if inventory is automatically updated.
Yeah, these inventories are not linked. When they start, they're linked, but as they're used, they get desynced. And that means that when we sell something on Shopify, we've got to take it out of the system on RMS and vice versa. Right now, that's not that big a deal because nothing's being bought on RMS. No one's coming into the store. Once we have to deal with in-store customers and online customers, then we really have to reevaluate what we can offer online.
Yeah.
Without it being too much work to keep going.
Or how accurate it is.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to say, hey, I bought this thing online. Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have that.
Yeah.
We have to refund you.
Like, when we were doing the Comic Hub thing, we did not publicize that we had a storefront, but by getting Comic Hub up and running, we automatically had a storefront. And someone immediately found and tried to purchase, like, a variant cover that we did not have anymore and was not reorderable. And it's like, that's what I'm afraid of.
Yep.
Is random stuff that we have in our system where it's like, people aren't going to order this week's issue of Once and Future. They're going to try and order a thank you variant that we got a month ago.
Yeah, a one per store.
That we sold online. Like, that's the stuff, because that's the stuff that's going to come up in the system is A, in stock, B, cover price.
Yeah, right?
And that's, I mean, I'm not going to be upset telling those people no, because they think they're getting away with something, and they know it. But I'm going to be frustrated having to deal with that. So it's stuff like that, where the graphic novels, I think our inventory is tight enough where I feel comfortable just going ahead and putting it up there. The comics, I don't feel that way at all.
No.
So that's going to take more work for me to feel comfortable offering it. So yeah, to start with, just graphic novels. As with anything, shoot us an email if you feel like it's something that you want and we might have. We'll work with you on it. So just because something isn't listed on our Shopify store does not mean we are not comfortable selling it. Just that may be more one-on-one.
At the time you get all the graphic novels up, are you going to stop updating the PDFs on the website?
Yeah, it's taking the place of the PDFs.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
And that's
we'll just ask people to go through. And I mean, I think you're getting a better experience through the Shopify store than you would be through the PDFs. You can search for stuff way easier. You can get
see
more
pictures, you see descriptions.
What exactly it is you're getting.
Now when people ask for recommendations via email rather than send them Previous World links, I can send them links to our Shopify store.
Sure.
And that will be at challengers-comics.shopify.
Challengers-comics.myshopify.com.
Oh, myshopify.com.
Yeah,
okay.
We'll have, once it's up and running for sure, A, we'll have stuff on our social medias about it. B, we will definitely have stuff on the front page of challengerscomics.com directing you where to go to buy graphic novels online. For sure.
Will that be up in the bar across top?
Yes, and it's also going to be big images like where the new releases and contest challenges, like that'll be the top ones.
Do you think it's worth getting a custom domain?
We could. That's something we can do through Shopify if we want to.
Oh.
I would rather wait and see what we do with it.
Of course. Yeah, I mean right away.
Yeah.
And I also wouldn't
maybe
talk about what it would be.
Yeah. There was stuff I wanted to put up at the top of the website that'll kind of replace some of that stuff. And I should mention through Shopify, this is going to replace the PDFs because it will have functions to let you do local pickup at the Chicago Board Game Café. It will let you choose Wednesday delivery. If you are local, that's going to have to be something you coordinate with us, though. We need to make sure that you're in the zone that we're going to be delivering to before you just, buy your stuff. And then mail order as well. So it'll cover all three of the ways that we're getting people their books through the Shopify checkout.
I want to talk about Chicago Board Game Café for a second.
Okay.
And
they've been really nice.
They've been amazing to us this whole time, and we are in their debt.
Yeah.
And Facebook reminded me that it was 2 years ago last week that you and I had the dinner with a group of people. I don't want to say influencers.
Brain trust.
Their words.
Brain trust.
To spitball solutions for some of the issues they were having. That's when we first found out about the game cafe.
Yep.
And we dinner at Max's house.
Yeah.
And they had a fun scale model of what they were doing.
They did, yeah.
So we got to see all this ahead of time. And I think that 2 years ago when it happened, we talked about the dinner, but we never said what it was for or who it was with.
Yeah.
So that
didn't feel like we should do that.
Of course not. But now 2 years later, it was them.
Yeah.
It was the cafe, which was up and running until they had to close for internal business. And it was their idea for them to be the pickup place.
Mm-hmm. It was very nice.
I really hope that it is to their benefit as well. I hope that some of the people who are picking up there decide to get some food there.
Or some games there.
You can buy games there as well.
The window that you're picking up from when you pick up Challengers orders at the Chicago Board Game Cafe is their game store.
Yeah.
So if
Garneau's Trading Post.
Yeah, so if you want to pick up, they got tons of Cards Against Humanity.
True that.
You can pick up that. You can pick up a bunch of board games. You can pick up, I think, probably some role-playing games. I know you can pick up Magic cards.
Yeah.
Like, if you need game stuff because you're bored at home, definitely hit up the Chicago Board Game Cafe. They've got stuff. They're open. Their pickup window is open from 4 to 7 Tuesday through Saturday. That's when the orders are there for Challengers pickup, and that's when you can also pick up some food. I think they got bottles of wine and stuff too.
Oh, nice. So yeah, huge thanks to Max and Eric and everybody over there for helping out.
Thank you to the Chicago Board Game Cafe. We owe you.
And they inadvertently gave me the idea to do the Godzilla video that we put in the store, that we put up on Instagram and Facebook earlier this week on Wednesday.
Yeah.
It was them asking if we had a Godzilla plush or doll they could borrow. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, I have a giant 2-foot one. They're like, oh, that'd be great. And then since I was bringing it to the store to bring over to them, I thought, hey, we could do something with this.
Yeah.
And then we did a fun little video of Godzilla roaming the store.
Yeah, we're doing more content.
And
Patrick wants to do content.
Well, as long as I have ideas for stupid 1-minute videos.
1 minute's tricky though, man.
Yeah.
There's not a lot. You think you've got a 1 minute idea, and then it's like to do the Tom Servo one, I had to talk so fast.
Sure, but it comes out fine.
I hope so. I want people to know I don't always talk that fast.
The position
for the benefit of the video.
We should have blocked that better.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's
fine.
a 1 minute Instagram video.
Yeah.
And it's true you can make videos much longer on Instagram, but then you're putting them on your Instagram TV page, not your homepage.
And no one goes to that?
And no one goes to that.
Oh, okay.
You don't find those. Yeah, so I want to keep them under a minute just to make sure they can be seen. Sure. And I don't want to waste people's time. And honestly, the Godzilla one was like 26 seconds. That's all.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's not like we're doing a series and we have plans.
No.
As of this recording, we have an idea for one more.
But you'll have another one, I'm sure.
I don't know. Like
you do. You have
Godzilla
ideas.
was a one-off. Then it was, basically it's looking around my apartment and figuring out what can I use?
Mm-hmm.
What would be fun? It's like, I have a bunch of Captain America shields. I don't have a gimmick for them.
But you will. You'll have an idea.
I don't know. We'll see.
I would be shocked if by the end of the shutdown, you don't have one idea for how to use a Captain America shield in the video.
I don't know. Anyway, they've been well received, so we'll keep doing them as long as we have ideas. And I think it's just important to A, give people the distraction, but B, remind them that we're there.
Yeah, and I mean, it's fun for us to do.
Yeah.
You know, there is some psychological benefit to us feeling like we have some outlet for, all of the things that, like, a lot of this is playing off the idea of like, hey, you're someone who's used to coming to the store and having this interaction with us, and we want to give you some version of that through the internet or through whatever means.
Yeah.
But it kind of goes both ways. Like, I like talking to people about comics. I like being able to recommend books to people. And I don't really have a version of that I enjoy through things like email. Like, I like the physicality of it, of being able to talk to someone and get that feedback. So doing these videos is some way to kind of get that energy kind of out of my system.
And we talked about, like, actually doing in-store review videos, like, about graphic novels.
Yeah.
Like, hey, look, here's a book, have you read this one, blah, blah, blah. But this is just a little fun diversion to pass the time. And to quote Dal Bush from yesterday, acting is easy.
It's easy, it's just lying.
And we're in retail. That's what we do all the time.
Yeah, it's easy.
But we would never lie to you because you listen to us. Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155.
And in the River North neighborhood of Chicago at 750 North Franklin Street, number 103, 312-285-2252.
Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.